My name is Lindsay, and I'm a marketing specialist at Openstax, and I'm joined by Sarathi, Dr. Sada, and Stephanie from SquareCap. And today they'll be talking about how you can empower students to succeed during challenging times. To get started, we're just going to talk a little bit about what Openstax is. A lot of you are probably familiar with Openstax, but if you're not, or if you're new to Openstax, there's a few key things you'll want to know. Openstax is a part of Rice University based in Houston, Texas, and we are a nonprofit organization. We are able to offer our library of free textbooks due to philanthropic support that we receive from foundations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, individuals, and mission support fees from our technology partners like SquareCap. So anytime one of our users pairs one of our free our paid technology offerings, those organizations give us a small mission support feedback that helps us to sustain our operations. Openstax is a mission-oriented organization, and our aim is to transform learning so that education works for every student. Since 2012, we have published over 45 free, openly licensed, peer-reviewed textbooks, thereby saving students over $1.7 billion. You just heard me say that Openstax creates free, openly licensed textbooks, but what exactly does that mean? So Openstax textbooks are one example of OER, or Open Educational Resources. We have a wonderful definition up here on the screen from the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, which is a super strong supporter of OER. And in essence, open educational resources are any teaching or learning or research materials that are available in the public domain, don't cost anything to use, and lack the copyright restrictions that ultimately affect how people can revise content. Openstax textbooks follow the standard scope and sequence requirements of their respective courses. As of now, we have over 45 textbooks in math, the social sciences, the natural sciences, the humanities, college success, and business. All of our textbooks are written and peer-reviewed by industry experts and go through a rigorous editorial process. We also make sure that our books are updated regularly, and they receive regular errata and industry updates. So for example, instructors have the opportunity to submit suggestions for updates to our books on our website. In addition, we revise and update our books when it's pedagogically necessary. So we may publish a new edition of a if there's a major development in a field, like we recently did with our astronomy textbook, or we may just make our typical yearly and monthly updates to the online versions of our books to ensure that the content is relevant, up to date, and representative of diverse audiences. Overall, Openstax textbooks are a lot like other textbooks that are available on the market. However, unlike textbooks that aren't OER, Openstax textbooks are 100% free, and you can revise, remix, and redistribute the content any way that you'd see fit, or any way that meets your classroom needs. Openstax offers much more than just our free textbooks. So each of our textbooks also come with free instructor and student resources like LMS course cartridges and course shells, test banks, and lecture slides. We also offer free webinars like this one and helpful articles on the Openstax blog on a variety of topics, like ways to increase student engagement and tips for using our resources. We also offer our support center, which is a really excellent resource to turn to if you have any questions about Openstax resources or want some tips on using our resources. Lastly, we also offer Openstax Tech Scout. So we know that educational technology is critical to the classroom experience today, and that it can be really time-consuming and challenging to find the educational technology products that meet your needs. Therefore, we created Openstax Tech Scout, which is a filter and search tool on our website where you can search for labs, courseware, online homework, and simulations that align with each of our textbooks and meet your classroom needs. And SquareCap is one of the learning technology companies that we partner with and that you can find on Tech Scout. SquareCap offers low-cost, high-value options to support instructors and students. And SquareCap helps to enrich Openstax materials and provides the financial support through mission support fees that Openstax ultimately needs to make sure that our books are current and accessible for all. And going off of that, I'm now going to pass it over to the SquareCap team.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So I thank you, Lindsay, for the opportunity for SquareCap to share this presentation with everyone. And I'm going to start with my background, and then I'll go through into the content of the presentation. So I have been teaching at the University of Texas at Austin for the last 32 years. And I have seen, thousands of students during this time. And during one of these, one award ceremony, it was at the state level award ceremony, I realized we had to do something about student success and student graduation, in addition to what the university offers, in addition to what I have already been doing. So that is where we developed this, technology of SquareCap. And I want to put this in perspective for you as to how critical it is right now during these challenging times after pandemic, as to how these technology come in very handy and appropriate to really help the students succeed. And working with Openstax give a very natural complementation of the students who need financial help as well as who need technical help, that we provide that platform to do both. Okay. So in addition to being an associate professor at UT Austin, I'm a chief academic officer, and we also have Sarathi Satasivan, is a CEO and CTO of SquareCap, and also Stephanie Klenzendorf. She's our education technology officer. So she will be able to help, and Sarathi will be able to help if you have any questions. And what has happened in the past 2 years, which is unprecedented time in our lives, education, went fully online and a lot of schools closed. And this is an OECD countries report. And many of those content went online instructional resources, and we used different ways to reach out to the students and providing instructional packages. But this did not, come without a cost to the student learning. That is something that we are becoming aware of as we are transitioning back into the in-person learning. And what impact this has happened in the in-person learning. These are the percentage of students reporting negative impacts. This is done by a university doing a survey about mental health and motivation and loneliness or isolation and grief and loss, which is at the personal level. Anywhere from 55 to 70, students are suffering in mental health, which is a very major portion. And it does affect their learning, as all of us know, is the mental cognition process. And this is across the board, with all ethnic groups that the impact has been noticed. So this is something, we can address and, help students, succeed in every subject. Okay. So this is an effect on their mental health. This is a survey done by the Center for Collegiate Mental Health. And you can see things like depression, general anxiety, social anxiety, academic distress, and eating disorders all went up. Family distress and alcohol abuse is kind of gone down. I think this is kind of part of the impact that they didn't go for it. They already stressed out a lot. But how these things affect their learning, mainly if you focus on academic distress and social anxiety or generalized anxiety, all these things are going to affect their learning. How do we address these things? So in addition to these factors that affect student success was nicely done by the National Center for Educational Statistics. The COO team report, it was done about 2006, which is still valid. How the students succeed and what are the factors prior to coming to college that affect is academic preparation, 2 is aptitude and college readiness. Then 3 is their socioeconomic status and gender and race. And then 4 is the enrollment choices. And then their 5, family and peer support. And 6 is a motivation to learn, which is kind of impacted by their mental health conditions and anxiety and depression. All these things that we need to address even during regular time and during, especially after this pandemic time. Another aspect of learning that we want to understand, how does the cognitive process work? So this is neuroscientist Stanislaus Dehaene, articulated in his recent book and published 2 years ago, 4 Pillars of Learning, talks about attention. That includes, coming to classes, attending the classes, and paying full attention to what is going on in the class, and being engaged with the materials, and active learning, and then getting feedback on their errors, which is right, why they got this question wrong, and so on. And then comes consolidation of all the facts that they're learning is very important for learning. So we look at 3 various aspects. One is the effect of pandemic in the last 2 years, 2.5 years in the students' mental health issues. Second, we looked at overall, the factors that affect student success based on the National Center for Education Statistics. The third is the aspect of neuroscience and cognitive, psychology and learning. Talks about what are the things that are needed for students to learn and succeed. And the same report, report also talks about how can we do the classroom engagement by asking questions in the class and giving prompt feedback. And then emphasis on a structured way of studying and academic work, and then providing support to succeed academically. Many of these things can be done like in-person class, as well as using technology to our advantage to help in the teaching and the learning. And the measurable outcomes are very obvious. The grades in individual classes and courses and the cumulative GPA, and then the student learning gains, and then their graduation rates is the ultimate measure of how successful the program is. And then you can long-term look at the employment graduation rate and lifelong learning, and all that can be measured. These are all like an evidence-based, and result-oriented use of technology and resources. Okay, one other thing that I would add is, in addition to all the mental stress and anxiety, students are also, concerned about their financial well-being. That is where resources like Openstax comes very valuable at times like these. And so they don't need to worry about one more purchase to make. And we work closely with Openstax to integrate the content. Some of that I'm going to go through in the remaining time. So the 4 tips for helping students adjust to the rigor of in-person learning, because after they were going through this online learning, which were more relaxed, and it was hard for students to stay focused, stay motivated, a lot of distractions surrounding, and online exam and all things like that. So all that affected their learning. What can we do to help them? First and foremost, have the student develop a structure and stay in a routine. So that reduces anxiety and unexpected things to happen, and things are very structured and organized. That is one thing that is very important, and help them come to class and pay attention in class. The second is to provide opportunities for shy and struggling students to seek help so that they don't suffer in silence. The third thing is address student misconceptions in real time. So when they're learning, many of them are right now, being this social distancing and all that, are find kind of socially awkward in reaching out to the professor or their peer students for help. And how can we make it easy to do that? So that is the other aspect. And overall, reduce their anxiety by fostering a community atmosphere, facilitating group work, group discussion, and all that. And we can use technology as well as pedagogical approaches to do this. And if any of you have tried and things that work, please share with the rest of the participants. That will be very useful to all of us. Okay, so about 10 years ago, I had an opportunity to transform the undergraduate learning with the major funding from UT Austin. And we talked about a lot of those interactive learning. At that time, the classroom response systems were not satisfactory to have a three-way interaction between teacher and the student, student and the teacher, and student and student. So we wanted to facilitate that. That is where the Square Cap came about. It's a novel classroom response system, and Srathi Sadasivan, he developed it. And this works on any web-enabled Wi-Fi, enabled device. And it helps identify the strengths and weaknesses of students very early in the semester, even before first exam. And it provides targeted feedback with links to the content from publishers like Openstax. And also it provides an opportunity for timely intervention in real time during the class or after the class through the professor, TA advisors, and others who can help the students succeed. So how does this work? So the way it works, the students come to class, the professor can track attendance with using a join code, or it also has an IP tracking to make sure students are logging in from the classroom IP address. And then it encourages participation even in online Zoom session and in-person classes to gauge student comprehension in real time. And it can conduct, and students can answer the questions from any device. And also there's a PowerPoint widget that overlaps. It is very seamless integration, and it works well with Canvas and Blackboard and many other LMS. And we have the way to integrate. The roster is downloaded and the grades are uploaded, effortlessly and seamlessly. So this is a tool to help students develop and stay in a routine that I need to go to class. I need to stay focused. I can ask questions. So this becomes a very relaxed and structured way of communication with the professors and with the peer students. Okay, so there are three types of questions I'm going to go through, and there was one is a real-time polling. It's a multiple choice, and not only the bar chart appears, and the students can also choose all that apply or any that apply. And the answer choices could be randomized so that the students don't look at a nearby student and answer, oh, that is the right answer. And we can also provide feedback at every question choices or the entire question. It can provide a feedback. Okay. So the second type of question is a numerical question, and so you can set an exact answer or an acceptable range. So that many of this physics or math, and even in biology, that what I teach, you can ask this type of numerical questions. The open response questions, also this really allows a common discussion and things that they are shy to talk about, it brings out, and it is peer anonymous, and the students wouldn't know who is answering these questions, what they are commenting on, and teachers can identify that and also give a grading or evaluate this later and promote a discussion. You can have a short and long answers. Okay, so this up to 1,000 words for long response questions. This become very easy. You can go back and then study, what the students are going through, and like 1 minute discussion, pairing two students to talk and put their opinion on, and developing a consensus in the class. All that thing can be, used in this open response question. It not only provides a word cloud with the proportionate importance of the words, but also all the answer choices are listed one by one, so you can go through all of them. Okay. So the other thing that helps students, get an individual feedback, it can be assigned to the entire question, or it can be assigned to individual answer choice. So that is one thing, the error feedback. We saw that in the 4 pillars of learning, not only being engaged in the classroom, going to the classroom, and also getting this feedback really helps students know where their strengths and weaknesses are. That is something they normally have hard time, figuring it out in any new subject they take. So the feedback can be, as I said, individual or to the whole thing. This is an important aspect of helping them understand the areas of weaknesses and also why they got a question wrong, and then learn the content better. So this is a very important, feature where the students don't feel shy to ask any questions. They can simply text these questions, and so this is anonymous. Peers, they don't know that, but the teacher can do it, and they can upvote this. Like here, they can upvote. So, and you can also sort these ask and word comments according to the number of votes they got, and oldest first or newest first, all that it can be accommodated. So this is another, opportunity for struggling students to seek help without feeling, anxiety or embarrassment of raising hands and asking questions. The other beauty of this program, but we develop in ScoreCap, is that it's a dynamic seat map. The students can come and sit in any place that they want. And before we start the session, they select the place. Okay, I'm sitting in the third row, second seat, the students select that seat. And then we ask a multiple choice question, and this is oriented back of the classroom, front of the classroom. And as a teacher viewing the student, almost all the students got the answer correct, except one student is sitting in the last row, or those 3 students sitting in the aisle, and these 2 students. So either myself or my TAs can approach them, and without telling that, oh, you missed this question, we strike a conversation with them and then say, what do you think of this question? And what do you think this is a correct answer? So that also facilitate, without them lifting a finger, we can identify, and this has been tremendous help to me in this, times when students were very shy, they're sitting apart, they're wearing a mask, and they don't want to talk to strangers. And they don't want to raise hands. So it really opened up that opportunity for us to help them in real time. Another beauty of this is to allow students to talk to each other, if you like group discussion, to reduce social anxiety. So we can do a grouping and not only address misconceptions in real time, but also creating a group. So somebody who got this question right can talk to someone who got it wrong. So you can pair up students like that, talk to the students on the left or one behind you. So that is another opportunity. It literally introduces another student in the class. It is very useful. I found this semester, and allowing them to open up and participate. And in addition to that, the students also need a lot of practice for the exam. So we integrate the question bank from Openstax textbook, as well as you have your own content and questions. It can be uploaded, and we provide a custom service for you to transition from any other classroom response system you are using. We can upload those questions for you as a complimentary service. It takes us a day or two, and I'll tell you how to get that thing done at the end. And this helps students practice for the exam by turning out the correct answers and not showing their right answers and not showing the explanation. All these can be done for homework and practice for the exam, and anything they need to help with in the learning process. So this is not just talk the talk. We are walking the walk here. We did a survey in this is like at 2014. We compared 26 different courses and faculty from diverse group of majors or departments. And we compared their grades before using ScoreCap, after using ScoreCap, everything else being the same in fall of 2013 and fall of 2014. And you can see that A's and B's went up and C's and D's went down by simple engagement. This is before the pandemic in a normal time. And at this time, I think this type of technology can be tremendously useful to help students succeed. Not only that, it also increased this instructor evaluation. Oh, the professor cares about my learning. And so they give favorable learning in all instructor evaluation, course evaluation, and overall, it went up. It's a positive trend in terms of grade improvement as well as course evaluation. Okay, so just to summarize, you can see the benefits of ScoreCap. It helps students, come prepared to class, and also this is where attention and attendance both are important. Engaging the students, this is another second pillar of learning. Active engagement is very critical. And also providing error feedback in not only in class, but also homework and practice for exam. And also allow students an opportunity to ask questions, reduce the social anxiety, and reduces the stress, and they don't suffer in silence. And to reduce social anxiety, the seat map features help them in the real-time help as well as in facilitating group work. Okay. So that kind of gives you a big picture as to what are the needs of the times for the students and for the faculty to make it easy in terms of asking questions and answering questions and downloading the roster, uploading the grades. All are integrated well with ScoreCap, and we are very glad and fortunate to work with Openstax, and thanks again to Lindsay and Openstax. And we have been partners with them for several years. This is not the first time, and we love what they do, and we care about student success and also helping all the teachers do their work very efficiently. So I have provided my contact email, UT Austin, and also Stephanie, the education technology specialist from ScoreCap, and Lindsay from Openstax. So all the emails are there. And at this point, I'd like to thank all the participants for attending this webinar, and we're here to help. And I will pass it on to Stephanie at this point, and she wants to say a few words and also about how the demos work or what type of help she can provide. Okay, thank you again. Stephanie, it's yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining, and I appreciate your time and learning more about how Openstax and ScoreCap partners together. And so I definitely wanted to make this useful for your time. So I thought it might be helpful to go ahead and show you what it would look like if you were to use ScoreCap with your students. Anybody can go to scorecap.com and create an account. And once you create an account, then I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Once you create an account, then you will be able to log in and create a class, for whatever you're teaching. And I am interested. I know you wrote where you're from, but I'd also love to know what subjects you are teaching and what Openstax textbooks you're using. Right now, I'm logged into ScoreCap with just so I can show you the textbooks that we already have loaded into our Openstax account. So if you're teaching physics, principles of management, pre-calculus, or biology, then we have those questions ready to go. And as soon as you log in and send me an email, and I'll provide my email address, I can add these to your account. If you're teaching something else that you would like to integrate with ScoreCap, just let me know. And we can, like Dr. Sada said, we can get them uploaded to your account within a few days to a week. So what does it mean when you have them uploaded to your account? So right here, this would be my course, Introduction to Physics. And these would be all of the Openstax questions associated with that textbook. And so for this textbook, we have both conceptual and practice questions here. And so I can go, I will just click on chapter 1, and then you can go through here, look and see which questions you would like to use with your students. And then you would copy them over to your course. My course right here is Introduction to Physics. And so those are a few these conceptual questions are open response. Students can type in anything. It'll accept over 1,000 words, not that you would want that much, but there's plenty of room. When you use them with your students, you'll see the word cloud and you can also show their responses anonymously to talk about it as a group to give them some feedback on whether they're understanding the topic or not. You can also leave feedback right here for your students to see after you release the answer. So if you want to provide a solution for them to go back in and study later, then that's certainly an option. Here are some practice questions. So these are numerical questions. So they have to, enter the exact answer. Of course, we can also do multiple choice questions easy. So I'll just copy those to my session as well. And so that's all it takes to create an activity to use with your students. I can click on this and see, I can give it a new name. And so these are all the questions that are ready to go with my students. And so what do you do now? We do have some attendance options. And if you want to book a demo with me, I'm happy to walk you through this and show you like all of the different features. I just wanted you to have a general idea of what it means to use SquareCap with your students. I've got this session ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and start it. And so my students are entering the room, and I can either start all of the questions and use it as an assessment at the beginning or end of class. Or what most teachers do is they will just go question by question. So I'll start this question. I can have a timer going, and when my students respond, then I can show those responses as a word cloud and show the responses there and finish it. They'll get the feedback, and then you would just go through question by question. At any point, if you want to group your students, then if you have students in the room, you can group your students and it will tell them exactly who to talk to. And so you can just get that feedback, and it really does help give them more practice in class. You get to see if they're understanding the topic. You can adjust your lesson as you go. Gives them an opportunity on their end. They have, so I can show you here to view as a student. They have an opportunity to submit questions to you so that you can see those questions. You would get a little bubble that appears here, then a question has been asked, and you can respond to it in real time, like Dr. Sada said. So I'm sure you have questions. I'm gonna check in the chat to see what questions you have. I'll finish this just so you can see what happens after you finish. The students would get to know their grade. They can go back in and study. Some schools, we do have LMS integrations, especially with Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, and Sakai. So those options are available, but otherwise you can always download the CSV. You can show the student data. You can go back and see how they did on each question. And you can see the student roster. You can see the ask and vote questions. So I know that's just a really quick, really quick mini demo of what it's like to use SquareCap. I'm happy to go into more detail if you have questions. If you want to email me, I am Stephanie@squarecap.com. And if you would like to get a more detailed explanation, you can book a demo directly with me, and I will put the link for that as well. And now I think I will just go ahead and open it up for general questions. If you want to know more and about how to use SquareCap in your class specifically, feel free to ask those. And Dr. Sada or Sarathi, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that you covered it pretty well. Thanks, Stephanie. The
Very
only other
short.
link besides, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that was a very short 5-minute mini demo for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely for the longer demos, Stephanie put in the chat info.squarecap.com/demo, as well as if you want to request specific access before your demo to any Openstax content, I just posted another link that points to our partnerships page with Openstax. So there you can specify your first name, last name, as well as what textbook you're using, and then we can add that to your account.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Chris Dobson is asking about accessibility further. So let's see. Let me just catch up a little. Yeah, so we do, as far as elaboration on the accessibility question, our web apps are all built using HTML5. So we do test for things like, is it screen reader compatible? Is it good for people who have visual disabilities or who are colorblind, for example? We don't necessarily require alt text for all images created by teachers, but in the case of OpenStax content, I believe that that all images have sufficient alt text, but I would need to double check on that.
To add to what Sarathi said, I have hearing impaired, like hard of hearing student, as well as visually impaired student who are legally blind. And for that, it has been very useful and effective. We got every student appreciate what we use with ScoreCap. They can enlarge the letters and they can shrink it. It's very compatible. The screen readers work very well with this one. The only time I had to read out is the join code. If I display in the class, it will not show on the student computers. We had to go to the visually impaired student to read the join code to them. But other than that, we never had any issue. And interesting thing I want to mention, I am hard at hearing and I wear hearing aid, but still I cannot listen. Like if I have a 200 student class, if students speaking softly in the corner of the room, I can't hear them, but I love ScoreCap in that sense. They text their question, I can read it, loud and clear to everyone in the classroom and answer that. So it supports in many ways, not only the students' needs, but also the instructor needs. Any other question? Very good questions.
Yeah, great questions.
I think we covered all the questions, and the price, everything is like it's a $12 per semester for unlimited courses, and the app works for both Android and iOS system. And so we can integrate the content, your personal course content, as well as a question from OpenStax, and we provide as a complimentary service to transition. Let us know how we can help, and so that you can help your students to succeed.
Yeah. I also just wanted to, just to share that I work with a lot of teachers every day, professors that are have been struggling with things, students coming back into the classroom and maybe not wanting to attend class because they got used to learning at home, even though that's not necessarily the best situation. We do have some attendance features that are really great for verifying that a student is physically in the classroom. You can choose to use the Wi-Fi attendance. And so if they are not physically in the classroom, then they do get flagged as being absent. And if you wanted to set it so that they don't receive credit for that assignment, then that's definitely an option. And that does encourage students to go physically to your class, which can be, definitely an important thing to do to get them back into that routine, give them a little bit of added push. So I know a lot of teachers who are using that feature this semester for that exact reason.
Any other question? Yeah, we upload.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's been a philosophy within SquareCap in terms of pedagogy. We follow the science, and we, in terms of affordability, we follow the student's mindset and the financial situation. And we also offer some students who cannot afford, we give complimentary subscription. So that's another thing that we offer. And I think the mission is to help every student get a SquareCap in the graduation. That is their motto.
And somebody was asking earlier about, what to do if a student doesn't have a device, like if they only have a flip phone and they don't have a laptop, then what can they do then? If you're wanting to use SquareCap. So we haven't had to do it in a while, but we do have some free loaner devices that are just simple, cell phones that can connect to the Wi-Fi, and we're happy to send those to, that student that doesn't have a device. We, definitely want them to be able to participate, and that's a free service. They get to use it for free. They can send it back to us at the end of the semester, and they can connect to the Wi-Fi and use it in your classroom. So that shouldn't be a problem at all if you run into that issue. And we also have, our price already is very low. But like Dr. Sada said, if you have a student that is in financial hardship, we do give each teacher a certain amount of free subscriptions to pass out as needed. And then we also have special licensing pricing as well that goes even, even less expensive than that if you have department funding or school funding. So feel free to email me about that as well. And yeah, I think the whole purpose of using SquareCap is just to add to the level of communication you have with your students, being able to connect with them in a way that they're comfortable with. A lot of students are not comfortable with raising their hands and asking questions at this, at this time. And we definitely still want to encourage that, but also giving every student an opportunity to practice these questions in class instead of just the few students that will volunteer can be a very good teaching strategy, because they all need opportunities to learn in your classroom and opportunities to to fail in your classroom before they take the test, so that you can help them and provide that intervention so that they can be successful when they do take your actual test.
Yeah, to answer the question on the chat about VPAT, if anyone needs to get the VPAT for SquareCap or any other sort of standard docs, all you need to do is email admin@squarecap.com. And we try to follow. We work with over 100 institutions across the U.S. We've been a UT since 2013, and so we try to adhere to as many technical standards as possible. A lot of this stuff is required for doing any sort of school integration as well. So.
And to give you an idea of what it takes to really upload a 500 student roster, it's less than 30 seconds, or even depending on the Wi-Fi availability there, it's very fast, especially in Canvas integration. Other Blackboard and Moodle and D2L, Swati can explain how that integration also work. We have API and LTI.
Yeah, so we use LTI standards for everything except for Canvas. We have LTI available, but we also have a custom API integration with Canvas, which we think is a lot stronger, more robust, and more secure. And that allows for things like single sign-on, one-touch grade upload, as you mentioned, regular roster import, all that stuff.
Any other question, anyone?
If those are all of the questions that we have today, I think we can go ahead and end the webinar. Thank you so much to the Square Cap team for such a fantastic and engaging webinar. I know that I learned a lot, and I know that our audience members did too. And if anyone has any follow-up questions, feel free to contact any member of the Square Cap team or the Openstax team, and we're more than happy to help you in any way that we can. And tomorrow we will be sending out the slides and the recording, so you'll be able to access that at any time as well.
Good. Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks all for participating.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.